This tea is hot. You wanted it, and here it is. The truth about the Sax channels and the Sax scandal. Hey everybody, it's Stephanie, and all jokes aside, today's video is pretty serious because it's about the whole Sax channels scandal that went on. I've been wanting to make this video for a while, and I finally feel comfortable enough to make it, and I feel like I have enough information to relay to you guys. Keep in mind that this is my side of the story and my experiences. They may not be the same as other people who were on or off the channels, and some of the things that I will be telling you are what I have heard, so they may not be 100% correct because I don't know for sure, but I'm relaying what I believe is correct. So just keep that in mind that this isn't like 100% truth. This is my version of the story and my experience. So let's just jump right into it. So first off, for those of you who don't know, what were the Sax channels? If I'm looking down at all, it's because I wrote out what I wanted to say in the video so I didn't miss anything. So the Sax channels were multiple collaboration channels, which meant that there were 7 girls on each channel and they all had a day that they posted a video, and each week of videos was themed. This was a pretty popular thing years ago on YouTube to have collab channels, but there was a certain set of them that were called the Sax channels because the first Sax channel was 7 Awesome Kids, which was SAK, so then Sax channels, it was Sax channels, and there was 7 Supergirls, 7 Perfect Angels, 7 Awesome Kids, 7 Fabulous Teens, 7 Twinkling Tweens, 7 Gymnastics Girls, and 7 Epic Dancers. So the channels were run by a guy named Ian, and he is from the UK, and he is currently 55 years old. He originally started 7 Awesome Kids with his daughter and another mother and her daughter, and then they just kind of blew up and grew into a whole string of channels. And these were open in 2008, mind you, originally. So later on, the channels were also run by a parents committee, which you didn't really know whose parents were on the committee. It was just always referred to as the parents committee said. The parents on the committee said. So were there parents on the committee? I don't personally know, because it was always just the parents committee. But this committee helped Ian make decisions, and he would always refer to him as like the parents said. So when I was first on the channels in 2010, which was just about 2 years after the channels originally started, that is when the original committee started. And so originally each channels voted on who they wanted to represent their channel. You could run to represent your channel, and then it was kind of like you made a little campaign and you all voted, and that person would attend the committee meetings. And the committee meetings were these voice chats, or well, they were actually video chats on Skype, and it would be one representative from each channel, which I was actually the representative for 7FabulousTeens, and then Ian would be in there, and he would also be on video chat, and parents were welcome to join the children who were on the committee. So like if you weren't on the committee, your mom couldn't be in there, but if you were, your mom or dad or whoever could be in there. So the next question I have written is, when was I on the channels and what was my experience on the channels? I was originally on the channels starting in August 2010. I was offered the spot on 7FabulousTeens after I was in the semifinals of a competition called Girl Stars. Girl Stars was a competition that the Sax channels used to put on YouTube, and anybody who wasn't on the Sax channels could be in the competition. You used to be able to post video responses to videos, so you would post your video response and people would vote on you, and if you got the most votes, you would go through to each round. And you would get a theme for each round, and you'd have to create a video that was basically like the videos they create on the Sax channels. And I was in the semifinals. I think I was either 2nd or 3rd place, and I got offered a spot because the winner, that's what you won. You won a spot on the Sax channels. But luckily, they needed more people, and I was a runner-up, so they offered me a spot, which was super exciting because I really wanted to be on the channels, and the channels were awesome. Here's a big kicker. I was on 7FabulousTeens until 2012, and my goal was to be on 7 Supergirls. 7 Supergirls has almost always been the highest channel since it was created, and that was like the top tier. Like that is where you wanted to go. Wherever you were on the other channels, you wanted to get to 7 Supergirls. The whole way the collabs worked originally was that you would make your way up. So if you started on 7 Awesome Kids when you were 6 years old, like you could make your way up to the tween channels and the teen channel, and then eventually 7 Supergirls. But it started to kind of get twisted because it just became a popularity contest. And anyways, I really want to be on 7 Supergirls. But I started on the channels, I believe I was already 13. So I only had I had to get up there really quick because at the time, 7 Supergirls was an under 16s channel. So you had to be 15 or younger to be on there. So I did my best, and I filmed great videos, and at one point my video quality wasn't up to standards anymore, so I bought a new camera because I just wanted to get to 7 Supergirls. That was the highest channel, that was where you got your popularity, and that's where you got the most money and fame. But no matter how hard I tried, Ian would not move me up. It was super frustrating because you would watch new people get on who haven't been on long and move their way up, even though my content wasn't poor compared to theirs. The most triggering thing is that in the past few years, SSG has removed that age restriction. Originally they bumped it up. So first it was under 16s, and then it was 16 and under, and then it was like 18 and under 18s, and then all of a sudden there was no age limit on it. And that's because the people who were on it were so popular and didn't want to leave, and obviously Ian wouldn't want them to leave because they're making the most money. So they took that age restriction away. But that is really frustrating for people like myself who wanted so badly to get on there and never had the chance because we aged out of it. Because at the time I had aged out of it by the time I was like 15, 16. Like, he wasn't going to put me on the channel. And then for other people, he changed the restrictions. So that's just really frustrating in and of itself. So after 7Fabulous I joined 7EpicDancers, which, if you don't know, I helped create 7EpicDancers. It was basically my idea. I was like, yo, you made a gymnastics channel, we should make a dance channel, and I'll help you. Because Ian was like, I know nothing about dance. And I'm like, well, I'll help you. I know everything about dance. Not literally, but I was able to help create channels, and he's like, okay, you need to give me a list of all the themes we could do. Because at the time, he was like, there's no way you could have enough themes to run a whole channel just on dance. And I was like, excuse me, yes there is. So like, I put so much effort into getting 7EpicDancers up, and I did. Like, obviously he physically created the channel, and I didn't have the password or anything, nobody did. So he ran it, but like, it was my efforts that got 7EpicDancers to be a channel. On 7EpicDancers, from when I got out of 7Fabulous until March 2013, and then again from November 2016 to February 2017, because after a few years I was like, hey, there's auditions, I want to join again and see if we can make this channel great again, because at the time 7EpicDancers was failing. But then I was kicked off 7EpicDancers. I didn't choose to leave, I was kicked off 7EpicDancers in February of 2017, which I won't explain here. There's a whole other video on my channel about that. It's in the description and somewhere up here if you want to watch that when you're done watching this video. So my overall experience on the channels had its ups and downs. I was never really Ian's favorite. If you were his favorite, he would like listen to you and love your content, feature your content, help you with everything that he can, all that kind of stuff. And if you weren't his favorite, then like you didn't get any of that, and you didn't feel special or get any special treatment. And that also means you don't get moved up on channels if you're not his favorite. Personally, I don't think he liked how much I was willing to speak up for myself and for others on the channel. Like, whenever I had ideas of how we could change things to make it better, or things that he could add, or like outfits we could wear or whatever, he would just shoot it down. Like, he didn't want to hear it. If you talked to him in that way, like, he didn't like that because he wanted to control everything. Next question, what happened to the sax channels? Why are they gone? Like, what happened? If you haven't seen somebody else's video about it, or you haven't Googled it yourself or seen what happened, I will briefly tell you what incidents got the channels closed down. If you want more information about it, you can either just Google Ian's name with the sax channels and a bunch of articles and videos will pop up, or I will post one of the articles down below. But view it at your own discretion because it is detailed in what happened, and it does contain sexual abuse themes, so just view it at your own discretion. I'm not telling you to view it if you want. There is no like photos or videos, just so you know. Like, it's just written. Anyways, what happened to the sax channels? What is the truth about them? Why are they gone? Where did they go? What the heck happened? Like, some people had no idea what was going on, which makes sense because at the time nobody was talking about it. It was actually really hard to find information about it when it first happened unless you were there. Which, just so you know, I was not there. I wasn't currently on the channels when this happened. I wasn't at the trip that was going on, and yeah. So Ian, the owner of all the sax channels, was arrested in August 2018 at a hotel near Disney World because all the girls were on their trip that they do their meet and greets and film videos on and everything. And he was charged for sexual abuse for one of the girls on one of the channels. Like I said, you can read more about it if you wish by either Googling it or clicking the link down below. And then flash forward to a few months later, because he had to go through court and all that stuff that they do when you get arrested for those things. He did plead guilty, as far as I'm aware. Based on the articles, it says that he did say, that he was guilty of it. Then he got whatever his sentence is. But then YouTube decided to shut all of the sax channels down because, it makes sense. They wouldn't want that content up there because those channels represented somebody who owned them, who is now in jail or prison, wherever he ended up going, for doing stuff to somebody on those channels. YouTube got rid of it. They don't want that on their platform. That's not what YouTube is about. So it makes sense. But that's why the channels are gone. YouTube deleted them once Ian got his sentence. So, am I upset about the sax channels ending? Yes and no. If the circumstances were different and it wasn't the way that it is, if it was just like normal channels with a normal owner and nothing creepy happened and there weren't weird rules, then yes, I would feel bad that they shut down, because I would feel bad for the girls and I would feel bad for the girls that could have been on the channels if the channels were innocent. But since they aren't and were not, I don't feel bad about them ending, because I feel like this makes it so that other girls don't have to go through what everybody who was on the Sax channels has went through. So this is inevitably protecting more people, even though it sucks that they're shut down. Because if you don't know about all of this, and before all of this really happened, the Sax channels were really exciting and a great place to like want to be on. With the circumstances, I am not sad that they shut down for that reason. The one thing I'm upset about though is that YouTube did delete the channels, because that means that all the videos are gone, so everybody who created all those videos and hard work is just gone. Luckily, most of us have them saved on our computers, as I do myself, which is why I've uploaded a few of them. But what did get deleted with those videos being taken down that we don't have are like how many views we had, the likes, the comments when it was posted. So like the community around them. And like it's fun to share with people like, hey, I made this video when I was 13 and it has 2 million views. And you like send them a link. Like you can't do that anymore because they're gone. The next question is, am I glad that I was kicked off the channels before the incident happened? I've been getting this question a lot lately, and I don't think like I'm glad that I wasn't on the channels during that per se. Like it's not really like that. It's not like a glad or not glad thing. But I'd say if I was currently like on the channels and uploading during that time that this incident happened, it would have hit me in a different way, because I would have been currently invested in the channels. It still affects me because all my hard work is gone and I was on the channels and I did interact with this guy and all that kind of stuff, but I wasn't currently on the channels, so I feel like the blow was less, because if I was currently on the channels, I wouldn't have been at that event anyways, because I would have been on 7EpicDancers. So then to hear about that while you were currently on the channels would have been like, what? Like what? Like what am I on? But since I hadn't been on the channels for a year, well, actually, I hadn't been on the channels for like a year and a half, almost 2 years when this happened. It was more of like, huh? Like it was just different. So it's not really a glad or not glad thing. I guess I'm glad I wasn't currently a part of it when this happened, because I wouldn't have wanted to be in the view of that happening. Another big question is, was I ever skeptical of Ian? I have to say that yes, I was skeptical about him, but not in the sense of what happened. Like I never thought that he would have done something like that, because that's like going way too far, obviously. But he's done, looking back on it now, some of the things that he's done or said kind of all lead to where he got in a way. So a big thing is, and this is something that was going on since I joined the channels in 2010, is we would use Skype for communication for like all of the girls on the channels. He never wanted us to be in Skype groups without him. He wanted to be in there. He didn't want us to communicate with each other without him like supervising. So if we were video chatting, he wanted to be in there too, but he would normally have his video off, which is really creepy when you look back on it. But for us, it was like, oh, well, this is our boss and our manager and he wants to hang out with us. That's pretty cool. But really, it was really creepy and not cool. And as far as I know, this was something that happened across all the channels, even when I was there, when I wasn't there. And it sounds like it got worse towards the end for how much he tried to control who was talking to who. It was like he didn't want us to be friends, because he didn't want us to communicate with people from other channels. He didn't want us to make group chats or talk when he wasn't around. And it was like he wanted to like supervise us and control us. And whenever he found out about a channel or like a group chat that he wasn't in or didn't know about, he would get really upset at us and either like yell at us and tell us to get off, or like it just wasn't good. So another thing is, way back when in 2010 when I joined, he used to join Tiny Chat, which was like a video chat service online that you would just join. It wasn't like Skype, it was like a web link, and he would post it on the YouTube channel that he was live, and then you could join if you were on the channels or if you were a fan and like video chat and like type and stuff, and that was just kind of weird looking back on it. It's just all kind of weird. Another big thing is, ever since the beginning that I started on channels in 2010, he would send out stats, and I believe he sent them out monthly. I want to say that they were monthly, and they would be stats of each of our like average views or average, I don't even know. Like the stats didn't say like, oh, this is your views or your comments. Like it was just your average stats. So who knows what he pulled it from. I think he said it was like YouTube analytics, but I don't know how he got the numbers. And he would stack all of our names next to each other on a bar graph, and if you were the lowest on the channel, you were in the danger zone, and you weren't, as good as anybody else on the channel, and you had to step up your game, or if you fell below a certain line, you'd get kicked off. It would always be a comparison thing, because if you were above your friend or someone else on the channel, then you were better than them, and vice versa. So he's always had us against each other. And then he would also be like, well, this channel's doing better than this channel, so you guys better step up your game because this channel's beating you. It was always a competition. He always had us up against each other instead of like working together and having fun and being friends. And the favorites on the channels were normally the ones with the highest stats. But the thing is, if you were a favorite and you had the highest stats, you got boosted more because you would get featured more often, and you would most likely end up being like the icon of the channel. Like if you were the favorite and you had the highest stats, you basically stayed there because you got promoted. Whereas the people who needed the most help weren't getting it, either end up always being the underdog, never getting special treatment, or they get kicked off or leave because it's so upsetting. As far as the rules go, the crazy weird rules, when I first started on the channel on 7Fabulous I don't remember there being any weird rules because it wasn't really about that yet. The channels weren't like really big enough yet to like have him controlling that kind of stuff. The rules were more normal stuff. It was like, make sure your camera is this good quality, make sure that your lighting is decent, make sure, it was stuff that was normal to creating videos and editing, and it was stuff that was helpful, not weird. But as time went on, the rules got stranger and weirder, especially for the girls on the higher channels. I personally was not affected by any of these rules, so all of these rules I have either gotten from the girls on the channels telling me, or me seeing it happen, or from other people's videos or posts. So I've like gathered all of the weird rules that I've heard of, and I'm gonna say them, but just so you know, I was not affected by these personally. So a big one that is a huge red flag that I just learned is that everybody on 7 Perfect Angels was not allowed to wear shoes in their videos. In any part of their videos, they weren't allowed to wear shoes. Excuse me? That's a very big red flag, but I didn't know about that until yesterday. So, also, some of the more known ones that people have figured out or have said or however, the girls on the higher channels, they weren't allowed to shave their legs, they weren't allowed to wear makeup, unless it was like part of a skit, because I've seen makeup in some of the skits, but like normally they weren't, allowed to wear makeup. They couldn't wear dark colors, they couldn't cut their hair short or dye it. They were encouraged to wear dresses and skirts. They weren't allowed to wear jeans. They couldn't pluck their eyebrows, and as far as I'm aware, they were encouraged not to wear bras in most outfits or videos, and they weren't allowed to post on their personal channels while they were on the Sax collab channels, which I'm trying to remember if that was a rule for me on 7Fabulous I really can't remember, but it was more of you didn't even have time to post on your personal channel, but to say that you can't is a little bit far. And the big thing that I've heard from people, again, directly to me or from like their media that they've posted it on, is that his reasoning for the rules was that, well, the sponsor said you can't cut your hair, the sponsor said you can't shave your legs, the sponsor said you can't wear a bra, which is just super weird because what sponsors wouldn't want those things? I mean, they had sponsors like Justice and stuff. Justice wouldn't do that. And I believe, I don't know for sure, I'm trying to remember, but I believe years ago, 7 Gymnastics girls wasn't allowed to wear shorts with their leotards, because I know some people were really upset about that, because some people feel more comfortable wearing a leotard with shorts, and I believe they weren't allowed to, at least when it was their sponsored leotards, which that truly could have been from the company, because it's a leotard, and they might want the whole leotard showing, but again, it's a little weird. So just some other things, some random things. It was hard to reach him most of the time, so if you did get a response from him, if he did pay any attention to you, it was like an honor because it was your boss, it was your manager, your director, whatever you want to call him. And so if he responded to you either like a question or a text or an email, by text I mean like Skype message, not actual texting, it was like an honor. Like he had it so that everyone was kind of like bowing down to him because he had control over what happened to you. And the big thing is we got paid for being on those channels. Everybody got paid. The higher channels and the more popular you were got paid more money, a lot of money. A lot of money. When you get these rules and you're being paid a lot of money, it's like, okay, whatever, you're being paid. So as long as the rules don't cross too many lines, you're just like, whatever. So that's kind of why these rules kind of just went by. Especially if you're like, well, the sponsor said so. Because then you're like, oh, okay, whatever. But it's just weird. Like I said, I didn't have those rules. And I think if I would have been like, wait, what? But that's also why I think he didn't want me on the higher channels, because I would have questioned it. I would have been like, what do you mean I can't shave my legs? What do you mean I can't wear makeup? What are you talking about? Yeah, So, as far as the money goes, whenever I was paid, there was no proof that we were being paid what we were supposed to be. There was no like graphs showing like, here's, you know, the views and comments you got, and here's how much you get paid for this month, here's this person's. You just got a random PayPal invoice check thing. It came from him. It didn't even like come directly from YouTube. That alone was kind of weird, but it was money, so whether you were getting your fair share, it was still money. But it was kind of like, well, if he's favoring someone, is he giving them more money even though they didn't earn it? And obviously he took a cut of money because he made this his job. And it's just so like, how do you know that you were getting the money you deserved? You really didn't. And if you got kicked off or you left the channels, you didn't get paid for your videos anymore. So that's like, did he just pocket all that money? I don't really know. And as far as contracts go, I personally never had a true legal contract. When I first joined Seven Fabulous Teens, there was this little like paper contract, but it wasn't anything like legally binding as far as I'm aware. It wasn't a full contract. It was just kind of like sign here type thing. All I remember it really saying was just like that our content is his content, like, you know, it's the channel's content, which that's normal if you're uploading for a collab or something. But it wasn't anything crazy or weird or in depth or like things weren't hiding in it. And then when I joined SevenEpicDancers, which was years later, like the second time that I joined, I didn't even re-sign a contract or get a new contract, which is weird because you would think you would keep that updated because we got paid for this. You would think. I basically did it all for fun, and I didn't get tons and tons of money from it because I wasn't on a high channel, so it wasn't a big deal for me to have like a legally binding contract because it was like, whatever, like I'm here to have fun. If I get some money, cool. If I don't, fine. So I'm not sure about the higher channels. As far as the current articles go from the whole incident that happened, it talks about a contract that they signed saying some stuff that he could do that was like in small print. I never had a contract like that, so I don't know if that was just for the higher channels or if that was something new. I have no idea. So the next question is, how do I feel about Ian and the rules now, looking back on everything that happened, which I've kind of covered a little bit, but I just have some more to say about it. Since I was on the channel since almost the beginning, because I started in 2008 and I got on in 2010, I can now kind of see the patterns and like the red flags of where it was all headed. I'm not sure if Ian originally like pre-planned to do something like he did, but whether he planned it or not, or that was his end goal or not, it's not okay, and that means he's always been sick in the head like that, whether he was doing stuff or not. And that's the scariest part, to be honest, because that means that whole time, like, you were dealing with someone, we were dealing with somebody who had those tendencies and could do that and ended up doing something like that. I've always personally found him kind of creepy because, I mean, he was a grown man owning a channel, or multiple channels of a bunch of girls, but the big thing was always, well, you know, he originally did this with his daughter and the channels just ended up blowing up, so he kept them going because he got paid from them. And the channels for the longest time were the biggest and best collab channels on YouTube. So you would just kind of think, oh wow, he's kind of weird, and then you would look at all the other stuff and be like, ah, it doesn't matter. And we would talk about him behind his back, like, oh wow, he's really weird, or like say, you know, talk about things that he said or does or the way he is. But it's just kind of like if you have a teacher you don't really like who's kind of weird or quirky, or a professor or whoever, and you just kind of do that, but you still like listen to them and respect them because they're your teacher. So it was just kind of like that, but his weirdness and everything going on just got taken way too far to a illegal and disgusting level that I don't think any of us thought was going to happen, and unfortunately it did. And looking back on rules, as far as rules goes, again, I never had those crazy rules that developed, because even going back to SevenEpicDancers, it was the lowest channel, so he didn't care about it like at all, and 3 of us on there were adults, and he really didn't care about us because we were adults. Like he really didn't care, because obviously he didn't plan to have adults on the channels. As far as SevenEpicDancers rules went, it was just your typical dance rules, like we had to wear dance clothes, and like we were allowed to wear makeup and do whatever, because for 1, 3 of us were adults, and for 2, it was a dance channel, so wearing makeup is more normal, wearing costumes and stuff was normal. We were never like forced to do anything. There were times when we were trying to do like dress codes to like all look alike, but it wasn't anything creepy. It wasn't like, you can't shave your legs and you have to wear booty shorts. It wasn't like that, because he just didn't really care about the smaller channels. And as far as SevenFabulousTeens goes, like I already touched on that we didn't really have those rules at the time that I was on them. But overall, the Sax channels are in the past now, and I'm just going to take all the good that I got from them, the good memories, the positivity, everything that I learned, good and bad from them. I'm gonna keep that, but everything else, it's in the past now. It is what it is. It happened. It's unfortunate. I hope we all learned something from it, including viewers, people on the channels, YouTube. hopefully Ian, I hope he learned something from it too. And I'm personally glad that what he did isn't going to happen to anybody else because the channels are shut down now and he's being taken care of legally. So that's that. I hope you enjoyed this video in the sense that if you've been waiting for more information or wanting to hear from me specifically, then I hope you enjoyed it in that sense, but the content itself is definitely not enjoyable. So if you liked this video, do be sure to give it a thumbs up. Even though the content was poopy to talk about, give it a thumbs up for me creating it. And subscribe if you want to see more videos. I have lots more videos planned and I'm excited to upload more again. I have a whole bunch of links down below. You can just check them out, all my social media, all of that good stuff. I do have a Discord channel now. Discord is text and voice channels. It's originally for gamers. I use it for talking to my friends and for gaming, and it's great for communities. So if you want to join that, the link is also down below. You can come talk to me and hang out and hopefully make friends, and we can create a cool little community together. Comment down below your thoughts on this whole situation, like anything about it. Tell me anything about it. Spill the tea. Spill that tea down below. Even spill a little positivity because we could probably all use that right now. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to never ever give up, and I will see you all next time.